What is up, family? We're on our first official episode of the unofficial CFI with your host, Vince Ochoa, myself. So today we're going to talk about resources and how to organize and study them. So, again, the targeted audience is brand new pilots, or people who just want to learn more about what it's going to be like to be a pilot, or pilots who want to be more organized or need to come back into the game. So, really, as a private pilot, well, a student pilot aspiring to be a private pilot and continuing their pilot journey, there is 5 books that you're gonna need at the bare minimum. And so let's kind of cover them and what you're gonna want to expect from each one of those. So the first resource you're gonna need and want is the Bible of Aviation, the FAR-AIM, Federal Aviation Regulations / Aeronautical Information Manual. So this book looks big and scary, and that's because it is. Because the FAR-AIM is the law of aviation, essentially. Everything in the United States runs under a law of some kind. So the Code of Federal Regulations, number 14, is aviation law. In the rules of whatever 14, it's divided into different parts, and each part covers a different area of aviation. And so basically in the FAR-AIM, there's a section that shows whatever you are going for as a license and what you should study. So for instance, private / recreational pilot is right there. And so they'll have part 1, 1.1, 1.2, part 21, 21.181, and so forth. And so what I did was I went over to Flight Instructor, and here's all the things I need to study. And so what I did was color-coded each part, therefore it's easier to visually see where I'm aiming at and going for. And then I bought a whole bunch of these post-it thingies, about like 3 or 4 of those. And I also bought different colored highlighters. And so what I did was, for instance, Osiris, can you move? So for instance, we go to part 1. It's flagged. Just go to part 1, which is definitions and abbreviations. And I highlighted stuff that essentially I either didn't know or that came up later on in studying, that I would need to know. Like VH, I wouldn't care what that is, but it's in the sport pilot section, which as a CFI you apparently need to know. So then 61, it has the suggested areas to study, and so I went through each one of those, highlighted the regulation and the parts that actually matter. And to me, what actually mattered was like the stuff I would say if somebody asked me, because like look at this whole paragraph and it's like just a bunch of legal crap, but really the first thing there is like the only thing you need to know about it, pretty much. So it is a lot of reading, it is a lot of like, what am I actually going to use? But it's definitely worth it afterwards, because then you just turn to the chapter and read off what you already highlighted. Then I have tabbed up here in color-coded orange all the sections that are on which pages and whatever. Uh, and then, so we go to part like 68 is the next one. So also I bought the little flags. Boom, post-it flags. Get those as well. Highlighted the areas it wanted me to do. And same with part 91. It's all blue. Same thing. Go through all the tabs. And part 830. So forth. And the aim. Boom. It's all color-coded, all highlighted, the stuff that is suggested studying. And it looks organized. It feels organized. You can do whatever you want in terms of organization, but I know this book front and back now because I was able to organize it the way I wanted to, and was able to make it easier on myself. In addition to organizing the FAR aim, the next best thing is going to be flashcards. Boom. And so what I did was take all those suggested ones for the flight instructor, wrote the part, and then on the back wrote like what it is, and therefore you just, same with part 91. So I have like the part and then the law itself and what it is. And so basically every now and then, same with the aim. So basically you jump through the FAR aim, highlight everything, make note cards, and then just kind of like go through it yourself until you are able to remember things off the top of your head. Obviously it's easier to study with somebody because they can quiz you on the flashcards. The key is repetition, because if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. If you check the ACS, which is the Airman Completion Standards, for whichever license you're going for, the private or commercial, it's going to be kind of like this, but laid out in a different format where it shows what it'll be like weather, and then what you need to know about weather. And so I definitely want you to get the ACS for whichever license you're going for and use that as your baseline, because then you can see what they want you to know in weather. Go to the weather chapter in whatever book and then highlight the answers that they're going to be looking for, and that's going to make your life a whole lot easier than just running through it and assuming what is and what isn't important. So the next topic or book that we're going to cover is the ASA Oral Exam Guide. This one's pretty cool because it's going to have every single topic that can be covered in your check ride, and it gives an answer for it. So when I was doing private and commercial and instrument, I used this and it was super helpful. And you know you're ready for the check ride when you just like open it and you see the question, you know the answer already. And again, having somebody to study with is really helpful with this. You're gonna need this as well, and it's gonna be one of the best resources. Then you got the POH. It's probably the most expensive book you're gonna have. Do you need it? It really depends. As long as somebody you know has one that you can take notes in, because there's a whole lot of hoopla in the POH that is like stuff you're never going to need to know or care about. And so basically what I did was I borrowed one from the school, went through each section and took notes on like numbers or like things that somebody would actually ask me, or I've heard them get asked before. And the most important thing about the POH is knowing which section is what, because for instance, section 6 is weight and balance, but it's also the equipment list. So basically it's like, unless you looked at that, you would never know that the equipment list is with weight and balance instead of like normal procedures or something. That would be more obvious, but it is. So again, what I did with that was just flashcards of each section, like what the title is. So like one is general, and then kind of like just write some things that are included in that section. So then got the airplane flying handbook, and this is gonna have like how to do all your maneuvers, and it's gonna have like takeoffs and landings and everything that you're actually gonna be going through in training. So like, this is what the instructor and ground school and stuff are gonna have you like study anyway, so you should get this and read it on your own time. And then again, what I did with this was tabbed each chapter. And then last but not least, we got the PHAK, or the Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge. And this is more of like a why do planes fly book. It's very science based, and so like basically this is the art of flying, the airplane flying handbook. This is the science of flying, the Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge. And again, I just went through and tabbed all the chapters there and labeled them so that I don't have to flip through it and stuff. It has things like principles of flight, aerodynamics, flight controls, and again, go through your ACS and see kind of like what needs to be covered in each area, because there's a whole lot of crap in here, and it's just kind of like sensory overload unless you know what you're looking for. So that's what we got for your resources for studying how to be a pilot, and I hope the organization and kind of route to take before studying all this really helps. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you actually utilized any of this information. Pew pew!